Drupal, Adobe, all three experience platforms. But of course, in the in the current context, we have a Sitecore module that you can deploy on an XM or an XP that allows you to seamlessly integrate SearchStax with your existing Sitecore environment, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. It makes it very easy to integrate that. Hugo, anything else that you think I should cover? I feel like this kind of gives them at least a high overview of the product offering and the company, and then you can kind of take it away on more detailed use case and scenario.
No, that's awesome, Samir. That's precisely what I need. So I'm gonna take the lead from here. Let me share my screen again. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So that's perfect. I mean, everything that Samir just showed us, it's gonna be there if you guys are using the SearchStax for Sitecore module. And that's awesome already. So you have analytics, you have the easy configuration without the needs of using config files for Solr, and then you have different modules. That's where the magic happens, basically. So the first step in order to leverage different search modules in SearchStax accordingly to different personas in Sitecore is to create the personas in Sitecore, of course. So I'm just assuming that you guys are working in a project, in this hypothetical scenario, are going to have some sort of marketing team working with you guys to define the personas. So the personas are already defined. And on my case, I'm going to use the same example that I was using before to explain personalization. So here we're going to have a search page, which is going to be the same search page for both audiences, but I have three different type of audiences. I have the default one for those users which were not categorized yet, so we don't even know what they like. On that case, we're going to offer the basic relevance, which is already there actually, and then we're going to have two different, more precise personas. So we're going to have the PlayStation guy. So for some reason, due to the navigation or due to something else, we were able to categorize this guy as a PlayStation lover, and we're going to be able to categorize this other guy as an Xbox lover. On those cases, what we're going to do is that we're going to have different personas in Sitecore and different search modules in SearchStax. So I'm going to try to move this. Yes, so what we have here is that on my search app, that's the term that we use on SearchStax, I'm going to have the default search module for the default audience, but I also have an Xbox search module with some tweaks. So on my Xbox module, and that's just for an example purpose, so you guys can get pretty creative here, but all I have is a boosting rule. So here, every single time that I have a search query going through this module, what's going to happen is that if the search term is asterisk, basically everything, I'm boosting my results based on this field, which is the result title. And when my result title is Xbox S, I'm going to boost by 65, an arbitrary number here. And I'm going to do pretty much the same for Xbox X, but with a lower number for the boosting rule, the ranking boost. And I need to see that reflected on my search later. And I'm going to do the same thing for Xbox. Oh, sorry, Xbox is the first one. So I'm going to do the same thing for PlayStation. Precisely the same thing. I have a search model defined with field rules. On my case, all I have is one basic rule just to demonstrate the purpose of this presentation. So I'm going to have the same thing for PlayStation 4 with 85 and PlayStation 5 with 45. Now let's get back to Sitecore. In Sitecore, I already have defined my persona. So as you can see here, I have default, PlayStation, and Xbox. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go here, and that's where the magic happens actually. So when you guys are using SearchStax for Sitecore module, it comes with a search page template. This search page template will offer you a quick, almost out-of-the-box search page. The search page that Samir just showed us before, which is called the Studio GS. So it is a wrapper around the Studio GS. So you create a search page here, and all of a sudden you have a rendering with all the search capabilities. So you have search box, facets, search results, pagination, and etc. But the most important thing for personalization is this field right here. So I have a field which comes with the search page template, which is called search model definition. And I can use it leveraging the rule editor in Sitecore to create some sort of routing logic. So as you guys can see there, we have two different search model rules that we can use to define what is the current persona. And I have a few examples here just to show to you. And then we have an action. And my action is always, to define the search model that should be used when that rule is matched. So on my case here, I have the rule number 1. And please keep in mind that the order here is pretty important because that's how Sitecore will resolve this rule, right? So the first rule is always the most important one, and you can go on and on and on until the default one. On my case, I have the X box here. So what I did is that I basically created a new condition here based on the persona, the profile key that I want. So my profile key here is at X box, and I want this profile key to be at least 1. So I'm using the condition provided by Sitecore that is totally Sitecore, nothing special here. So is greater than or equals to 1. And here's an arbitrary number. Again, on your case, it might be different. When that rule is basically being applied and the condition is true, what I'm doing is that I'm telling SearchStax to use the Xbox model, which was defined here, as you guys can see. So that name is the name that I'm using here as a key. And I'm doing the same thing for PlayStation, of course. So I have two rules here. If the Xbox profile key is greater than 1, so if somehow the guy navigating through my website, he's clicking on Xbox related pages, and because of that, the score is 1 at least, I'm gonna use the search model Xbox. And if that's the case for PlayStation, I'm going to use PlayStation. Otherwise, I just have a dump condition here just to set my default model to default, which is again defined here. That's not an arbitrary name. I'm just replicating what I have here, which is default. When I do that on my search page, and I can use, of course, you can use some sort of real website scenario with pages with profile key scores associated to it. I'm not going to do that just to save us time. So what I'm doing here is that I'm using the Explorer mode in Sitecore. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but basically there is, you guys know the Experience Editor, there is the Explorer mode. It's basically using your page with the possibility of defining the score numbers without having to navigate through the entire website and clean the cache and etc. So basically here, you can force those values. So I have here my profile keys, default PlayStation Xbox. By default, the default is 1. And when I search using that, I'm going to have, or I should have at least, a default relevance or a default result set. So the results are there. As you can see here, I have 21 because I'm not filtering by anything. And the relevance is based on which were defined before. It's not related to Sitecore or SearchStax personalization at all. However, as you guys saw, we have few rules in place. So if my Xbox is greater than 1, even if I still have a few points on my default, I should now see something different. Because now my Sitecore is going to be resolving my search model if Sitecore can just process it. But my search model should now be based on my rules, should be Xbox. Because as you can see here, my Xbox value are greater than 1, which was my rule before. And if I do that, as you can see here, the result set's pretty much the same, but the relevance is different. And that's where the magic happens. So now I have results which are more relevant to me as a user, as an Xbox lover. And that is, as you guys can see, even the relevance between my two Xbox-related items are defined by my ranking rules. Because if I change them, so here's the PlayStation one. Let's get the Xbox again. I have my rule right here, and I'm going to invert it very quickly, just for testing purpose. Now I'm going to have I want to have my Xbox X first, because for some reason it is now more important. If I do this and I redo my search, it is automatically applied. So that's how powerful it is. So this is one simple rule. You guys can imagine what can be achieved with multiple rules here. So you can actually get pretty creative here. You can have not only 2 search models here, but you can have more than that. And you can also have multiple rules here for each one of them in order to tweak the result set to be able to show to the users what they're looking for. As you guys may imagine, the same thing is going to happen with PlayStation here. But again, the order is very important. So if I do this, for instance, if I give 3 points to my PlayStation, Xbox is still coming first because of the order that I have here on our template. So in order to force a PlayStation scenario, I'm going to have to set this to 0. But if I do that, if everything goes well, the search model that should be used now is no longer Xbox, is no longer default, should be PlayStation. And by using PlayStation model, I should be seeing the PlayStation related results at the top. And again, following the order that I have predefined on my search model. So PlayStation 4 is coming first because here I have PlayStation 4 with a greater ranking boost. If I invert them, and now PlayStation 5 is more important for some reason, I can now see that PlayStation 5 is going to come at the top. And that's the concept. Again, please do not be attached to this very precise example. Just imagine what you can achieve with this tool by using it on your real world project. So we just have 2 personas here. I just have one simple rule for each one of them, and the results are very pretty relevant. I mean, if you're looking for PlayStation, you're going to have PlayStation at the top. If you're looking for Xbox, even if you're not typing anything, because that's the most coolest part. I mean, I'm not informing my search page that I'm a PlayStation lover. We are inferring that due to some previous navigation history that this guy may have. And that's the pure and simple personalization for Sitecore applied on search, on that case on site search for SearchStax. But this concept is pretty powerful and can be applied on every single different project that you may have. Just, as long as you have personas defined by you or the market team, the personalization that you have defined on the navigation system might be replicated to the search, specifically to the results, to the search result set. That's what I have to show, Samir. I want to give the presentation to you back just, to kind of conclude everything.
Yeah, well, thanks, Hugo. Yeah, I think from my side, the question is really around, kind of the question answers, right? I think that's really where I think it's more interesting. I think, Hugo, you already kind of demonstrated that.
Yeah, so now it's all about questions. So please, guys, feel free to jump into the question anything that you might have related to SearchStax for Sitecore, SearchStax for Sitecore with personalization or not. We are going to be more than happy to answer those.
Okay, I have asked Vinicius to allow the chat to be used right now. A great presentation, guys. Let me open here my webcam. I think I do have. So that's a cool presentation, and I think the question I do have, I guess, is are we using the Sitecore metadata, the analytics data, to do this personalization, or is this some intermediary where SearchStax is taking over that?
Yeah, it's 100% Sitecore here, Rodrigo. So, I mean, even the rule engine running behind the scenes to define the current persona is 100% Sitecore. We are leveraging that, the XDB and etc., the XConnect and etc., just to call different search models on SearchStax. So that's when SearchStax takes the lead and you do its magic. But the persona definition, it's everything. That's 100% Sitecore.
Including the tagging in the content itself that is being listed.
That part is, I mean, that's a more integration question. So yes, the integration is actually the integration that we have with Sitecore is actually able to index everything coming from Sitecore, and those tags might be defined as fields. So from a Solr perspective, those tags that you saw on the results, they are fields values. So again, if you have those values on your Sitecore items, you're going to have them on the Solr indexed item, and by having them on Solr, they're going to be actually available on Search Studio as well.
Okay, I think chat is not enabled yet. I have asked Vinicius, he's in the call right now, but he's not enabling that. Let me see. Subu, you are in the call, right? You can speak anytime. Yeah, chat has been enabled, guys. Please feel free to type any chat, any message, or just raise your hand. I can give you permission to speak if you want to elaborate. Just one more second, folks. No hands raised. I think, well, risk another one. Can you tell at least what the effort will be, you know, end to end? If I don't have a site search in place, and I do have like I haven't started yet, I want to plug site search, you know, using SearchStax. And personalization, is that, how is the effort involved? Maybe you can elaborate with that.
Yeah, I can take this one. By the way, I have a blog post about it, Rodrigo, so you might check that out later. It's super simple because it's a Sitecore module, so you can install it using the good and old installation wizard. At the end of that, you're gonna have a configuration phase, which is basically 2 minutes of filling 8 blank spaces just to inform Sitecore that okay, I'm gonna use these credentials for Solr, and this is my search endpoint provided by SearchStax, so you don't even need to worry about it. It's gonna be provided by them, and here's my analytics API key and etc. And once you have everything in place, I show that you have a template, which is a search template with all the renderings on it. So if you want to have a up and running search page within 5 minutes, it's totally feasible. I do it all the time, to be honest. And the personalization is more about how mature your project is from a personalization standpoint. So if you already have the personas defined in Sitecore, if you already have your audience defined in Sitecore, and you have the profile keys being associated to your search, to your pages, it's what I did, right? A few minutes. You just have to create the search rules, define which search module you're going to be using for each one of them, and that's it. And I believe, and please Samir, correct me if I'm wrong, that should be iterative. So you can create search modules, you can analyze the analytics, and then you can improve the search modules, you can analyze the analytics, and go on and on and on and on.
Yeah, so typically, what we've seen companies, like if you're using a search accelerator, installing the module, and configuring that typically, takes about maybe a couple of days. If probably, someone who knows and who's worked with them probably can do it in a couple of hours. But let's say, a couple of days to configure the module. And then if you're using the accelerator, the majority of the effort is really around configuring, the look and feel of the module to match the website. So those are kind of the main integration areas and effort, and that depends upon, of course, the team to team and site to site. But our implementation cycles we've seen are much smaller than what's out there in the Sitecore ecosystem today.
Perfect. Okay. We don't have any questions in the chat. I think I also don't have any. I would like to, open the mic for you, both of you, if you want to add anything else to this presentation, any comments, or provide any guidance for documentation or articles that people can look out for. That's time is now.
Yes, so I can go ahead. So, I mean, if you guys are curious about the module itself, I believe there is a trial, right, Samir, that they can use to play with it a little bit, just to to get the first touch with it. If you guys are curious about how to use the SearchStax module, there are a few blog posts out there that I wrote before, and there is the official documentation, which is pretty clear, to be honest, from SearchStax. So you can use each one of them or both. And yeah, please feel free to use
Okay.
it. It's a cool
Yeah.
module.
Absolutely. We have a 14-day free trial, no credit card required. You can just go on the website and actually do a trial on your own data as well.
So the 14 days trial, so after that, even for development purposes, the person needs a license, right?
Correct. It's a SaaS service. If you want to go beyond that, again, if there is a project opportunity that you're working on, you can reach out to us. We probably have one of the account executives who can work with you. But typically, if you're just testing it out, 14-day trial seems to have kind of addressed most of the problems, at least currently.
Okay. Perfect. I think that's all we got. I will give just like a break of 1 or 2 minutes, guys, before we start with the second presentation. For now, thank you very much, Hugo and Samir. Thank you. That was amazing. And it's a pleasure to have you guys in the Sitecore user group in Brazil. It's the third time that Hugo is presenting this, and the second time of SearchStax subject is aboard. It's covered. So I think that means something. We can do more of that. We really appreciate.